Have you ever stayed awake at night thinking about someone, replaying every word they said, every action they took, and asking yourself, why did they do this? What do they think of me? And then you wake up exhausted, emotionally drained, and realize you gave them a power they never even asked for. Friends, today I want to tell you something very simple yet very powerful. Don't think too much about anyone, not your boss, not your friend, not your past lover, not even someone you admire. Because when you overthink about others, you forget the most important person in your life, you. Friends, I want you to pause for a moment and think about this. Your energy, your time, your thoughts are the most precious things you have. You cannot earn them back, you cannot buy them. And yet so often we give them away freely to people who don't even realize the value of what we're offering. How many of us have spent hours thinking about someone, maybe a colleague, a friend, or even someone we admire, wondering what they said, what they meant, or why they didn't reply. And what do we get in return? Stress, anxiety, sleepless nights, worry lines on our faces. And yet we keep doing it as if our mental energy is unlimited. But it's not. Every thought you give to someone else is a thought you take away from yourself. Imagine this. Every morning, the universe gives you 24 hours, 1,440 minutes, or 86,400 seconds. Every second is a tiny coin of energy. And you are the only person who decides how to spend it. You can spend it worrying about what someone thinks of you, or you can spend it creating something beautiful, learning something new, laughing with your loved ones, meditating, walking in nature, discovering your purpose. When you think too much about others, it's like carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones that don't belong to you. Every extra thought about someone else weighs you down. And the sad truth, that person might not even care about the weight you are carrying. They are living their life, and you are paying the cost for their existence without even realizing it. So my dear friends, the first lesson is simple yet life-changing. Protect your energy. Your thoughts are sacred. Your emotions are sacred. Your time is sacred. Don't give it away to people, situations, or memories that don't nurture you. Instead, invest your energy in yourself. Because when you take care of your mind, your heart, and your spirit, you can shine. And only then can you truly help others without losing yourself in the process. Remember this, life is too short to spend thinking about people who are not thinking about you or who do not add value to your life. Guard your energy like the treasure it is, because once lost, it cannot be retrieved. And the moment you start valuing your energy, the moment you stop overthinking about everyone else, that's when freedom, peace, and happiness find their way into your life. Friends, let me share a simple truth with you, one that can change the way you live your life. The truth is, most people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. Not even a little. They are busy, completely, utterly busy with their own thoughts, their own worries, their own ambitions, their own problems. And yet, how often do we lie awake at night rehearsing conversations, wondering if someone is angry at us, or obsessing over why they didn't call or message? I have seen it so many times. People, young and old, sitting at home, scrolling endlessly on social media, comparing themselves to others, overanalyzing what someone said a week ago, and wondering, why didn't they reply? What do they think of me? And the reality is, they probably didn't even notice. They have their own lives, their own struggles, their own joy, their own pain, and you're spending your precious energy thinking about them. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people in an office. One is constantly worried about what the boss thinks. They overthink every small word, every glance, every decision. They lose sleep, lose appetite, lose peace. Meanwhile, the boss is busy running the entire office, managing clients, solving problems, thinking about their own career. Are they really sitting there planning to hurt you or thinking about your every move? No, they are preoccupied just like everyone else. And yet we give our happiness away by believing the story our mind creates. This is why it's so important to remind ourselves, people are busy with their own lives. Everyone is running their own race. Everyone is fighting their own battles, and most of the time they don't even notice the things we worry about. So why spend your mental energy fretting over them? Why let your peace be stolen by assumptions, by doubts, by imagined scenarios that might never exist? Here's the freedom in this realization. When you understand that everyone is busy with their own lives, you stop overthinking their actions. Stop attaching your happiness to their approval. You stop letting someone else's indifference or ignorance control your inner peace. And suddenly you feel lighter, freer, happier. Your mind stops spinning in circles and you can focus on what truly matters: your own growth, your own happiness, your own life. So, my dear friends, remember this simple rule. Don't take it personally. People are busy. Your thoughts, your doubts, your fears, they are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. Accept this truth. Embrace it. And you will discover a sense of calm and liberation that is priceless. When you stop overthinking about everyone else, you reclaim your time, your energy, your life. You realize that the world doesn't owe you attention, and you don't need their approval to feel complete. The moment you internalize this, that is when peace becomes your constant companion. Friends, let me tell you something that happens to all of us, whether we admit it or not. Overthinking, overanalyzing, constantly replaying events in our minds creates illusions. Illusions that feel very real, illusions that feel heavy, illusions that feel like the absolute truth. And yet they are nothing more than stories our mind has invented. Think about it. You have a conversation with someone, maybe a friend, a colleague, or a partner, and later your mind starts running a movie. Every word they said, every expression, every silence is dissected, analyzed, and magnified. Did they mean it this way? Did they judge me? Are they upset with me? And suddenly, you are no longer living in reality. You are trapped in the illusion your mind has created. Here's the tricky part. The mind is a fantastic storyteller. It can take a small fact, a casual comment, a look, a gesture, and spin it into a story that feels bigger than life. You might start believing things that never happened. You might assume motives that don't exist. And in the process, you carry anger that was never deserved, sadness that was never necessary, and fear that was never real. I have met so many people who suffer not because of what others did, but because of what they imagined others did. They create mountains out of pebbles. They write novels out of a single sentence. And the saddest part is once your mind creates these illusions, they feel real. They start affecting your behavior, your relationships, your sleep, your joy. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine a friend doesn't reply to your message immediately. Within your mind, a whole story unfolds. They must be angry with me. They don't like me anymore. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I'm not important to them. And yet, the reality could be simple. They were busy or tired or distracted. But the illusion you created becomes more real than the actual truth, and you suffer unnecessarily. Friends, this is why overthinking is so dangerous. It doesn't just steal your time, it steals your peace. It turns reality into a distorted mirror. It makes mountains out of molehills and creates storms in a teacup, and the mind doesn't even warn you. It convinces you that the illusion is reality. So, what is the solution? Awareness. Observe your thoughts. Question your assumptions. Ask yourself, is this real or is this just my mind creating a story? When you start seeing the difference between reality and illusion, you stop giving your energy to things that don't exist. You stop worrying about scenarios that may never happen. And slowly you regain control over your mind, your peace, and your happiness. Remember this: overthinking doesn't reveal truth. It hides it. It doesn't solve problems. It creates new ones. And the moment you realize this, the moment you stop feeding these illusions, life becomes lighter, simpler, and infinitely more joyful. You begin to live in reality, not in the endless stories your mind loves to tell. Friends, here is a truth that is both simple and profound. Life is full of things we cannot control. Other people's thoughts, words, actions, and decisions, the circumstances that unfold around us, even the outcomes of our efforts. So much is outside our hands. And yet, How much of our time, energy, and peace do we waste trying to control the uncontrollable? Think about it for a moment. How many nights have you stayed awake worrying about what someone thinks of you? How many hours have you spent trying to figure out why someone did something or why someone didn't act the way you wanted them to? The reality is, no matter how much why you think, analyze, or plan, you cannot control other people. You cannot control their moods, their opinions, or their actions. You cannot control events, circumstances, or outcomes. You can only control yourself. And this is the key. When you focus on what you can control, you reclaim your power. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, your attitude, these are yours to manage. And once you focus on them, you become unstoppable. Instead of wasting energy over someone else's choices, you channel your energy into building your own life, your own happiness, your own peace. Let me give you an example. Imagine two students preparing for an exam. One keeps worrying about whether their classmates are smarter, whether the teacher will like them, or whether luck will favor them. The other focuses on studying diligently, revising consistently, and giving their best effort. Who will feel calmer? Who will have more confidence? And who is more likely to succeed? It's simple. Control what you can and let go of what you cannot. Friends, this principle applies to relationships, careers, and even daily life. You cannot control someone else's love, respect, or attention, but you can control how you behave, how you speak, and how you treat yourself and others. You cannot control the world's circumstances, but you can control your response to them. And in controlling your responses, you gain inner peace, strength, and freedom. Here's Snort's another powerful truth. People often give away their happiness by trying to control others. They try to change someone else, convince them, manipulate situations, and all they get is frustration, anger, and disappointment. Why? Because the only thing you can truly change is yourself. Accept it, embrace it, and start investing your energy there. When you stop worrying about what you cannot control and focus on what you can, something magical happens. Feel lighter. Your mind becomes calmer. You start taking positive action instead of spinning in circles of doubt. You begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles. You begin to experience freedom instead of frustration. And that, my dear friends, is the key to a peaceful and meaningful life. So remember this golden rule. Control your actions, control your thoughts, control your energy. Don't waste it trying to control people, outcomes, or circumstances that are beyond your reach. Focus on what you can control, and you will discover a life filled with calm, clarity, and happiness. Because true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. Friends, this is a truth that can change your life. If you truly understand it, your self-worth does not depend on what others think of you. Not your boss, not your friend, not a partner, not even someone you deeply admire. Your value, your dignity, your inner light, none of it is determined by external opinions. Yet so often we hand over the key to our self-esteem to someone else and then wonder why we feel anxious, insecure, or sad. Let me ask you this. How many times have you felt hurt because someone didn't appreciate you? How many times have you doubted yourself because someone didn't notice your efforts? How many times have you compared yourself to others feeling smaller, less worthy, or inadequate? And the sad truth is the person whose opinion you are worried about probably isn't even thinking about you half as much as you think. Even if they are, their perspective is just their perspective. It doesn't define your reality. Here's the reality. Self-worth comes from within. It comes from knowing your own strengths, your own values, your own purpose. It comes from treating yourself with kindness, from honoring your own journey, from accepting yourself fully even with flaws and mistakes. When you start measuring your worth by external validation, you are giving away your power. You are saying my happiness and my value depend on someone else, and that is a recipe for suffering. Let me share a simple story. There was once a man who worked tirelessly in his job. He put his heart and soul into every task, But his manager never seemed to notice. He kept waiting for praise, for recognition, for a pat on the back. And each time he didn't get it, he felt sad, disappointed, and frustrated. Then one day, he realized something profound. The manager's opinion does not define his abilities. The value of his work is in the work itself, in the effort he puts in, not in someone else's approval. The moment he internalized this, he felt lighter, freer, and more confident. His energy was no longer wasted chasing validation. It was now invested in growth, joy, and excellence. Friends, think about it. Every time you allow someone else to define your self-worth, you give away control over your own happiness. You allow another person's mood, perception, or ignorance to dictate how you feel about yourself. And that is unnecessary suffering. The key is to realize you are complete, you are valuable, you are worthy, not because of what anyone else thinks, but because you exist, because you have a heart, a mind, and a purpose, because you are a unique creation with gifts the world needs. When you truly understand that your self-worth is not in anyone else's hands, everything changes. You stop seeking approval. You stop fearing judgment. You stop overthinking what people think. You begin to live authentically. You begin to act with courage, speak with confidence, and love without fear. You begin to live a life that is truly yours and not someone else's reflection of you. So, my dear friends, remember this. Your value is intrinsic. It cannot be increased or decreased by anyone else. It is not dependent on recognition,